Hi students, welcome to the science class. Today I am going to miss a lot you all the students in my classroom. Why? Because you are not here. Why you are not here? Why? Because due to the corona pandemic you are not coming to the schools. The government is not decided to start the schools yet. So that's why you are not coming to the school. It is a very sad thing. We are going to miss a lot of you. But what is this corona pandemic? This is nothing but a disease, corona disease, which is caused by the virus called a coronavirus. Okay, then what is a virus? We know already the corona disease will be caused by the virus called coronavirus. Then what is virus? Yes, in the today's session we are going to study about the microorganisms, viruses and bacteria in the lesson called the microorganisms front and foe. Then what are microorganisms? The microorganisms are nothing but these are the organisms which cannot seen by our naked eyes. These are the living organisms which cannot be seen by the naked eyes. So this type of organisms are called as a microorganisms. Today in this chapter we are going to study about what are microorganisms, what are the types of the microorganisms, what are bacteria, what are fungi, what are protozoa, what are algae, then what are viruses. See, listen here. In the types of the microorganisms we are going to consider bacteria, fungi, protozoa and algae, but not virus. Why? We are going to study then continue in this today's session. Then we are going to study what are viruses and what it causes, and next what are the diseases caused by the virus, and where the microorganisms are going to live. In today's session we are going to study. So what are microorganisms? Microorganisms are nothing but these are the small tiny microorganisms which cannot be seen by our naked eyes. But how we are going to see? So we are going to see by using the spectacles called microscope or electron microscope. By using the microscope or electron microscope we are going to see the microorganisms. These microorganisms are wherever in the environment. For example, they are present in the soil also, they are present in the air also. For example, if you are confused, so you are going to make a practical example. Take some soil particles from the ground, put it to the one test tube, pour some water into it, keep the test tube for 5 to 6 minutes and take the 1 to 2 water drops in that test tube, place on the watch glass, look at it in the microscope. You are going to find thousands of small organisms going to see in the microscope that are nothing but microorganisms, that are nothing but bacteria, fungi, protozoa or anything else. So what are microorganisms? These are the organisms which cannot be seen by our naked eyes, but they are going to seen by using the microscope or electron microscope. What are the types of the microorganisms? The types of the microorganisms are bacteria, fungi, protozoa, algae and viruses. Virus is not a type of microorganism. Why we are not going to not consider the viruses? Then what are the viruses? See, viruses are, a virus is a microscopic infectious agent that replicates only inside the living cell of an organism. The virus is also a microscopic infectious agent that replicates only inside the living cell of an organism. Why we are not going to consider virus here? Because these are all bacteria, fungi, protozoa and algae. These are the living organisms. But when you are going to consider viruses, viruses are neither a living organism nor a non-living organism. So why we are going to call it as it is a link between living and non-living things. Why? Because it doesn't possess any living organisms character and also non-living organism characters. So what is virus? Virus, it is also a microscopic agent that replicates when it is get contacted with another living organism cell, isn't it? It is also a microscopic agent, but it is not in the state of living organism. It is is also a microscopic agent, but it is when it is only get replicate or when it is get activated, when only it is get connected or it is get contacted with another one living organism cell. So that's why we are going to call it as a link between living and non-living organisms. The virus, it is not a living organism nor a non-living organism. It will be activated when it is get contacted with another one living organism cell. So that's why it is called as a link between living and non-living organism. So once again, what are viruses? Viruses is also a microscopic infectious agent that replicates only inside the living cell of an organism. It doesn't replicate itself. So what are the characteristics of the living organisms? The main characteristic of the living organism, it is nothing but reproduction, own reproduction. That reproduction or a replication of their cells is not present in the viruses. They cannot perform the replication of the cell itself. It takes the help of another one cell, host cell. It is being a living microorganism. So that's why we not consider it as a living thing. But why we are not going to consider it as a non-living thing? But when it is get contacted with the host cell, it's using the cell particles which are present in the host cell, and it starts to multiply, or it starts to replicate itself. So that's why we are going to call it as a virus. So that's why we are going to call it as a non-living thing. Listen here carefully. So virus, it is not a living thing, it is also not a non-living thing. Why we are not going to consider it as a non-living thing? Because it doesn't shows the replication. And also, why we are going to not take it as a living thing? It doesn't has own replication. Why we are going to not take it as a non-living thing? Because it also replicates when it is get connected or get contacted with another one host cell. So these viruses are called as a link between living and non-living things. Viruses don't have any cellular machinery of their own. They take over the host cell machinery to replicate themselves. That is, doesn't has the capacity. So it don't have any cellular machinery. So the viruses don't have any cellular machinery that have the microorganisms, bacteria or living organisms. So they take over the host cell machinery to replicate themselves. So they take over another cellular machinery, another living organism cellular machinery to replicate themselves. And the common disease, so what it causes, as you know already, the most dangerous diseases in nowadays we are hearing the corona COVID-19 disease, that is caused by the one of the virus called corona. Then what are the diseases caused by the viruses? The common diseases like a common cold, flu, most coughs are caused by viruses. The common diseases, common cold, flu and coughs, these are caused by viruses. These are due to the viruses. And also the serious diseases like polio, chicken pox are also due to it is also caused by the viruses. Today's the most dangerous disease called corona, it is also caused by one of the virus called coronavirus. And also in the previous days, the very dangerous disease that is called as a polio and a chicken pox, nowadays these diseases are not going to be seen as much because they are controlled by the vaccination. So what is vaccination, what is vaccine, we are going to study in the next classes. So serious diseases like corona and polio, chicken pox are also caused by the viruses. But one question arises in your mind: only viruses are only the reason for the diseases? They are only cause the diseases? No, some of the bacteria are also causes diseases. What are the diseases caused by the bacteria? See here, some of the diseases like dysentery, malaria are caused by protozoa, and tuberculosis and typhoid are caused by bacterial diseases. Some of the diseases like dysentery and malaria, these are caused by protozoa. You have to remember, in your examination they are going to ask 1 marks question. The dysentery and malaria caused by a dash. They are going to give a fill in the blanks question. The dysentery and malaria caused by a which microorganism? It is caused by protozoas. And TB, tuberculosis and typhoid, these are caused by a microorganism called bacteria. These are the bacterial diseases and these are the protozoan diseases. The only virus is not the reason, only the virus only causes the disease, not only causes the diseases, but also some of the bacteria also diseases, causes the some of the diseases. So let us think where they are live, where the microorganisms are going to live. The microorganisms are present everywhere in the environment. So these microorganisms are live in ranging from ice cold climate to hot springs and deserts to the marshy lands. So it doesn't vary any places. So it can live in any place ranging from ice cold climate to the hot spring, and also they are living in the deserts to the marshy lands. It means that they will live in everywhere. And also these microorganisms are also live in the animal body, including the human bodies. In our bodies are also some of the organisms are present. They are helpful for our daily activities in the digestion process. That we will study in the next class. So where the microorganisms present, they are living everywhere in the environment. From it is doesn't vary due to the conditions, but they are living every condition, that is ranging from the ice cold climate to the hot spring and the deserts to marshy lands. And also inside the animal body, including human, they are present. Okay, then question arises, is the microorganisms are only harmful for us? No, the microorganisms are also, some of the uses are there. They are very usable microorganisms are also there. What are the uses of the microorganisms? See, under the friendly microorganisms, what are the uses? The microorganisms used in the preparation of curd, bread and cake. So these microorganisms are also used in the preparation of a curd, preparation of a cake and a preparation of a bread. They take 2 smalls of bread and pour some water on it, place that bread pieces into some 2 to 3 days. You have observed after the 2 to 3 days, you have to observe the bread pieces. The some of the brown colors are appeared on the bread. That bread mold, it is nothing but a bacteria. That brown color, it is nothing but a bacteria. That is a microorganisms. But how it is comes in the production of the bread? In the production of the bread, they are going to mix up the wheat atta with the yeast. The yeast is nothing but the one of the bacteria. When you are going to clearly see the bread, there are small pores are present. Why they are present? Due to the presence of yeast. When they are going to bake the bread, the yeast which is present inside the atta, that will be produced some carbon dioxide gas. That carbon dioxide gas will be causes small pores inside the atta, and it becomes a small pores and it becomes a spongy. So that's why it becomes a spongy. These yeast are going to use in the production of the bread. So what is the first use of the microorganism? These microorganisms are used in the preparation of the bread and also in the preparation of the curd. So if you observe clearly, in your home, your mother, when they are going to prepare the curd, before one day they are going to add some drops of curd into the hot milk. Why? Because this curd contains some of the bacteria. If you going to see the drops of the curd in a microscopic in a microscope, you are going to see lots of bacteria are present. So another one use of the microorganism is nothing but in the preparation of the curd. And next one is in the microorganisms are helpful to maintain or clean up the environment. Yes, the microorganisms are very helpful to maintain the clean environment, because some dead decaying organisms or some dead decaying things are present in the environment. These things are decayed or broken up by the microorganisms. So some of the leaves, they are fall down on the earth surface. They are going to be get converted into manure. That will be get converted into manure and maintain a healthy environment by the use of microorganisms. These are the microorganisms. These are going to utilize that dead and decayed things are present on the earth surface and break down and converted into a manure and maintains the healthy environment. So what is the next use of the microorganism is in agricultural, some of the microorganisms are helpful to increase the soil fertility by nitrogen fixing. Yes, as you told already, the microorganisms, some of the bacteria which are present on the earth surface, they are going to utilize the dead green things, and they are going to use the nitrogen which is present in the atmosphere and provide that nitrogen to the soil, because the plants doesn't has the capacity to absorb the nitrogen. So in that process, these bacteria are helpful for the nitrogen fixing, and also the waste things which are present on the earth surface, waste green things which are present on the earth surface, that will be get converted into manure by the microorganisms. They are going to decay that materials and convert into manure by the help of this microorganism. In agricultural also we are getting a good manure, and also it's increases the fertility of the soil. And these are the common uses of the microorganisms. But the another one thing we are going to study here, the commercial uses of the microorganisms. What are the commercial uses of microorganisms? Fermentation. In the fermentation process, the bacteria will be used. Then what is a fermentation? The fermentation, it is first discovered by Louis Pasteur in 1857. What is fermentation? The process of conversion of sugars into alcohol is known as fermentation. The process of conversion of sugars into alcohol is known as a fermentation. I am considering here one example. So if you are going to put the fruits for a long term, the fruits are going to be after some days, the smell of the fruits going to be changed. Why? Because the fruits contains some sugars. Due to the fermentation process, that sugars will be converted into alcohol. You are getting the alcohol smell. And nowadays it is a very common example, that is you are having due to the coronavirus disease, we are commonly using, that is what we are using, that is nothing but a sanitizer. This sanitizer is contain one of the microorganism product, that is called it as alcohol. We have clear to observe the ingredients which is present on the sticker, on the logo of the that is your hand washer, that is it shows that contains alcohol. That sanitizer contains alcohol. The alcohol is a product of a fermentation, and the fermentation it is done by the use of microorganism. That is the one of the commercial use. Nowadays large amount of sanitizers will be produced. So why? Because they are nowadays it is very useful. That is one of the commercial use of the microorganisms. What is fermentation? The process of conversion of sugars into alcohol is known as fermentation. In every sanitizer nowadays we are using, that contains alcohol. The alcohol is one of the product of microorganism. So Under one is the microorganisms are also used in large production of alcohol, wines and acetic acid. Acetic acid is nothing but vinegar. So in the production of alcohol and wines, the microorganisms are going to be used. Why? Because the alcohol and wines are produced by the fermentation process. In the fermentation process, the microorganisms are very helpful. So the large production of the microorganisms are used in large production of alcohol, wine and acetic acid, that is vinegar solution. It is also one of the commercial use of microorganism. Next, the yeast is used in commercial production of alcohol and wine. So yeast is also used in the production of bread, and also the yeast is also used in the production of commercial production of alcohol and wine. This yeast is nothing but one of the microorganism product. So these microorganisms are also used in this type of commercial uses. And what are the medical uses of the microorganisms? See, it is the time of First World War, about in 1929. In the First World War, the soldiers of other countries, they are not going to die with the causes of the war, but they are going to die the causes of the wounds, because in that time they don't know the medicine for the wounds. At that time, one of the scientists called the Alexander Fleming, he was going to search the medicine for the wounds. So he has collected, he was going to collect the blood cells of the wounded person and try to research for the medicine for that wounds. Once he collected the blood samples in watch glasses. He was going to put that watch glasses all over the room to experiment to produce medicine for that wounds. But one day on that watch glass, some of the brown material will be produced, and that brown material controls the production of the disease causing bacteria. By seeing that brown color material, he was going to check that brown color material, it is one of the bacteria, and he was going to use that one of the bacteria to prepare the penicillin. The penicillin, it is one of the injection which we are going to use to control the disease causing bacteria in the wounds. At the time of 1929, Alexander Fleming prepared the penicillin. In the penicillin product, the one of the microorganism is used. So some of them, it is not only in the penicillin, some of the medicines are also prepared by the microorganisms, which kills and stops growth of the diseases. In lots of the medicines, we are going to use microorganisms which are helpful to kill or stops the disease causing microorganisms or bacteria. So some of the commonly used, the antibiotics or the microorganisms used in the antibiotics are streptomycin, tetracycline and erythromycin. These are the antibiotics which are prepared by the microorganisms. Then what are antibiotics? Antibiotics are nothing but these are the medicines prepared by microorganisms which kills or stops growth the disease causing microorganisms. Such medicines are called antibiotics. And what are antibiotics? Antibiotics are the medicines which are prepared by the microorganisms which they are going to kill or stops the production of disease causing microorganisms. Such medicines are called as antibiotics. See, remember, when you are going to play in the ground, the doctors are going to give some medicines to you. Check it the ingredients on the label of that medicine. You are going to find these contains in that medicine, that is streptomycin, tetracycline and erythromycin. These are the antibiotics. These antibiotics which are given by the doctor, which are prescribed by the doctor, because these controls the these controls the disease causing microorganisms. These are going to act on the disease causing microorganisms and controls the wound. So these are known as the antibiotics. These are the another medicinal use of microorganisms. The microorganisms are used in preparation of antibiotics, and these antibiotics are also used for animal diseases and also plant diseases. To control the animal diseases and to control the plant diseases, the antibiotics are also used. So one note here, one serious condition here, you don't take these antibiotics without the prescription of a doctor. Why? Because these are very harmful. They may cause a side effects, or if they do not act at the time of where you are required, when you are required. So you have to take on the prescription of a doctor. These antibiotics very harmful if you are not going to take without the prescription of the doctor. So this is all about the microorganisms, uses of the microorganisms, commercial uses of the microorganisms, and medical uses of the microorganisms. So in the next class we are going to study about virus and what are the diseases caused by the virus and what are the medicines that we are going to prepare for the viruses. So thank you.